Hello and welcome to the Happy Dads Club, the podcast designed with dads in mind. I'm your host Callum Francis, a father of one, and I'm really glad that you've joined me for today's discussion. I know as much as the next dad just how challenging it can be at times to be a dad, which is why with this podcast we leave no dad behind, regardless of faith, religion, race or background. This is a safe space where us dads have permission to admit we are struggling at times and often feel like we don't have all the answers. So whether you're on the way to work, at the gym, out for a walk, or even at your lowest point, I want to say a huge well done for making the decision to hit play on this podcast today. And hopefully in doing so, we can help each other get back to a place of happiness and being the best dads that we know we can be. So let's dive straight into this session. So this episode is a little bit of a break from the norm, to be honest. And the reason I'm saying that is I had no intentions of coming home today and sitting in the studio and recording a podcast. But sometimes, or some days, like I just have these thoughts and they're bouncing around in my mind, and I can't help but wonder if the thoughts that I'm having, other people will be having them too. And I'm quite sure that the answer to sort of the question if other people are having them is got to be yes. So I don't know, I've just been sat there pondering, and this idea of boredom has really been playing on my mind. And I think it's because over the last few days I've sort of been looking at myself and where I'm at in life, and some of the things I've done and some of the decisions I've made, some of the choices or the roads that I've gone down, and trying to understand the reasoning behind that. And one key theme that seems to pop up time and time again whenever I'm in this mindset where I'm sort of deep thinking about my own life and my own situation and circumstance is this idea of boredom and the effects that boredom have not only in our minds, but obviously if we're thinking from a bored mind, then eventually the thoughts are going to turn into actions. And when those thoughts are coming from a bored mind, in my own experience, the actions that leads to, they're not favourable to our lives. So, as I say, over the last couple of days, I've just been sort of finding myself thinking quite deeply, really, on sort of the reasons why I am where I am and why I am in the position I'm in. And I think, if I'm being completely honest, a lot of it stems down to boredom. So I just wanted to jump on here real quick and just sort of reach out to anybody listening that might also be sharing this same difficulty, or somebody out there who's listening that can take something from today's podcast, because I think it's something that a lot of men struggle with. And I think it's also something that a lot of females, or partners should I say, can't quite work out when a man is sort of acting up, or is sometimes acting out of character, or he may be snappy or short-tempered. It's often an unfair assumption that is that person's character and that's their personality, when really it really isn't. It's a bored mind, a frustrated mind that knows deep down it has more to give. And that's where I want to get people thinking that is this actually me, or is this just the fact that I'm bored, I'm uninspired, I'm doing something but I know I can do more? And that's kind of leading to unfavourable actions, unfavourable thoughts that lead to unfavourable actions. And in a previous podcast, I've touched on the book by James Allen, As a Man Thinketh, and I think that fits quite well with this idea of boredom. If we're sat thinking that we know we can do more, but then we're not going into action and we're not doing things that make us feel fulfilled, then eventually the weeds are gonna take root in our mind. And this is the sort of the idea of the mind being like a garden. Well, I think that those weeds, they feed on things like boredom and that feeling of unfulfillment. And the longer we go without actually taking ownership or accountability of our mind, they'll just continue to run riot on our mind. And those thoughts eventually will play out as actions in our lives. But this is where I want people to just sort of stop and take a break and understand that a lot of the time when we're acting unfavourably, or we're acting in a way that we know isn't our best, I believe that a lot of that stems down to this idea that we're just bored. We're just not being used to our full potential. We're frustrated. We know we can do more, but we're living in a circumstance where we're not able to just go at something and give it our all. And that sort of, I'm not going to call it wasted energy, but the energy goes from a positive energy into a negative energy. And it causes us to be snappy, it causes us to be argumentative, short-tempered. We come home, we argue with our partners, with our kids, with our relatives. And unfortunately, it is often those closest to us and the ones we love the most that bear the brunt of that. And again, on top of that, it paints us in a very bad way. People can often be looking at us and thinking that is us, that's who we are. But really, inside, we know that isn't us. That argument, or those things that you said, that isn't the real us. That does not define us. But unfortunately, we're bored. There's no simpler way of saying it. And what we have to do is we have to really take a moment to understand what it is as men, as dads, as partners, husbands, boyfriends, brothers, sons. We really need to understand what it is in life that we're trying to achieve. What are we going for? If we've got a gift, I strongly believe that everybody has something within them. I really do believe that everybody carries a gift into this world. And I may have touched on it before, that if you don't discover that gift and share that gift with the world, it's not just you that's missed out, it's everybody around you. And I think there's a lot of us that get to adulthood and we still haven't uncovered that gift. So we grow frustrated and we get bored. And that's why I'm asking people just today, if you're listening to this podcast, understand that I recognise that a bored mind can lead to some dark thoughts, and unfortunately it can then lead on to some really negative actions that can then, if you really push it far enough, it can turn your world upside down. I'm speaking from experience. I'm talking thoughts that, from a bored, unfulfilled mind, that can literally shake your world and rock it to its core and leave you completely just almost shocked at, like, did I really work myself into this mess? And I believe that if we were more determined, if we were more goal driven, if we were more energized to uncover what greatness lies within us, if we had a mission in life, I think we would have so many more positive relationships out there. It's the bored mind, I'm telling you, it's a bored mind that causes so many breakdowns in relationships. It causes so many unreal ideas of people. Like I said, someone does something and we get labelled with that, and that becomes who people think we are, when really that isn't us at all. So guys, if you're listening, take a moment just to sit with your thoughts and understand where is that thought coming from. Is that really who I am, or is this thought just coming from a mind that's bored, that needs some excitement, some thrill? It needs a mission to cling on to and work towards. And to all the listeners out there that may find themselves in a relationship with someone at the minute that might be acting out of character, or might be making you maybe feel unappreciated, I'm gonna really stick my neck out here and say that there is a real possibility that isn't the reality at all. That's just somebody that's not being fulfilled. They're not being used up. They haven't got a goal to work towards. And we are, as men, we are workers. You look back at history, we are the hunters, we're the workers. We like to feel that we're the workers, that we're the providers. But sometimes in life we can just get caught up in our own thoughts. And again, I've done a previous podcast on success. It's this: if we're going out and we're providing for our family, that is the success we need. But sometimes that judgment of success gets clouded, and it can get clouded through boredom. Boredom is a serious problem particularly within men. Of course it affects us all, but I'm talking from my own experience. If you're going somewhere to a place of work 8, 10, 12 hours a day, and you're bored and you're unfulfilled, chances are you're going to come home and you're going to carry that boredom and unfulfillment with you, and your wife or your partner just says that one wrong thing, and that's it. You've blown your top. And too many of them moments will lead you into a situation where, because of your mind being so clouded, you just can't see yourself creeping towards the edge of that cliff. And one day your life's completely changed and you're on your own. And that's where I'm so passionate to get this message out there, that we really do need to understand what it is that we feel that we were brought into this world to do, to achieve, to create, to share, to change people's lives. And I guess you could say that's what I'm doing with this podcast. And I wish I would have started it sooner. I had these ideas in my head years before I actually invested in the studio equipment, and it's not perfect, but I'm learning as I go. And I think I've said this quote before by Les Brown: you don't have to be great to get started, but you have to get started in order to be great. And too many of us, we're not just grabbing the bull by the horns and just going for it because we want to be the finished product before we've even got started. We want perfection. And I'm telling you, it's not about perfection, it's about speed. Get it done, get it out there. Share your message. Write that book, record that song, and just get it out there. Do not wait for perfection, because the longer you wait, eventually, again, it's like when I was on about success being like this illusion, it's just going to become out of reach. We need to get started now. And I promise you, when you're working on a vision, your partners, your kids, your relatives, when they see you determined, committed, disciplined, because that's an important thing. When you're working towards something, you will bring about discipline in your life. And some people think discipline is like an inhibitor, it restricts freedom. No, it really does not. Discipline brings you control. It brings you choices and options. You determine what your day is going to look like. And when you're in control of your day, of your life, you become in control of your mind. And that is the whole sort of philosophy of this podcast, if you like. It's to get away from this bored, uninspired mind to this disciplined, resilient, determined mind where you're working towards actualizing a goal, or even bigger, a vision, and you're working towards that. Because when you have a bored mind, that mind is easily influenced. It's easily influenced. Anything can change your mood, can alter your direction. Things can pop up throughout the day, and it can really have an impact on how you're feeling inside, your mood. And that's what I say. We can be, frustrated as the day's going on, and then we get home and our partners just say that one thing just to really get to us, and bang, we're flipped, and we're saying things we don't mean. But because we're just agitated, because our mind is just so undisciplined, it's that, I'm going to use it again, it's the boat, just absolutely no direction. It'll just drift anywhere, and it'll wound up anywhere. And that's the danger we face by having a bored mind. We just take anything. Anything is better than nothing. There's a job over there, yeah, I'll take it. Oh, there's another, yeah, I'll take that. And we just take things because we think they're going to fulfill us, when really the whole idea of feeling fulfilled comes from within. It's the gift that we were given when we were put on this earth. And I think that we really, as anybody, as any human really, but particularly in men, we really need to do what we can to uncover that gift and work towards bringing that gift out into the world. And that's where I say we can't, gone are the days where we wait for perfection. We can't do that anymore. We have to take ownership of where we are today in life, what we have, the resources, the tools that we have, the connections, the support systems that we have, and we have to really start to capitalize on them now. And if you are in a position where, your relationships in a bad way, just ask yourself, could it be that I'm just bored? Because sometimes it is that simple. I am speaking from experience. Boredom can lead to breakdowns of relationships, of marriages, of family connections, of friendships, because a bored mind is an undisciplined mind, and it's a manipulative mind. It can be easily influenced. And look at the world we're living in today, where everything is trying to influence your decision making. Well, it's time to get some discipline in your life, direction in your life, determination and commitment in your life. We've got to be committed to our commitments. That's where I'm coming from today in this short podcast. So think about it, both men and women. If you're at home and there's discord, there's discontentment in the house, and there's unbalance, let's be honest with ourselves and just think about, am I really this person, or is it just my mind? Does my mind need some stimulation? And I promise you, so many people will be saying yes to that question. Yes, my mind does need stimulation. Yes, I do need something to work towards. Yes, I am feeling unfulfilled in my job. Yes, I do come home from work bored. Yes, I do get fed up. Yes, I am short-tempered when I'm home from work. And it's because of this boredom. It's a bigger problem than we think. Feeling unfulfilled as middle-aged or grown men is a real threat. And we've got to really stamp that out. We've got to do whatever we can to create some sort of plan, I guess, to our day, some structure to our life. Because I promise you, your partner and your children, or even if you're single, whatever, you will thank yourself for this. You wake up and you set your day out. Is this going to bring me closer to my goal? If the answer's no, don't do it. Or at least restrict it to as small amount as possible, so it's taking up as little as your time as possible. We've got to expand the way we use our day effectively. And that will bring about a level of discipline in our minds, in our thinking. And it will lead to clearer thinking. It will lead to better decision making. And that will carry you through some of your tough days where you make snappy mistakes, you say things you don't mean, if you're determined and you're going after something, you're going to be less likely to be argumentative with the people around you. You're going to be more balanced, more controlled, more reserved, because you have something that you're working towards. So I just wanted to jump on here. As I say, the last couple of days I've just been sort of taking stock of where I am in life and what things have led to me being where I am today. And I think one of the key things I found in my personal life, and I'm confident that there's more people out there that will be just like me. I'm a pretty average guy, you know, so I like to think that there's a lot of other men out there that think and maybe act in the way that I do. So when I say that boredom is a huge threat to our way of living as men, I'm fairly confident there's a lot of people that's going to resonate with. And this, like I say, this impromptu podcast episode, I'm confident that it's going to really ring a few bells for a lot of listeners out there. And if you are bored, there's nothing wrong with that, but it's now time to bring about change. It's now time to start working on ourselves and start chipping away and uncovering the greatness that lies within us, so that we can become better humans, but, you know, on a smaller, better men, better dads, better partners, better relatives. And when you see someone that's determined, it's like they carry this confidence with them. When you speak to someone that has a plan for their life, it almost like leaves you feeling a little bit like, wow, like you don't come across that very often. This person, like, I've just spoken to them and they've got these goals, they've got these plans. That's what I want to be like. But what I'm here to tell you is that you can be like that. We can all be like that. And that's what we have to get to in our lives to make us more resilient and to give us that control back. We're taking control back, and we're ensuring that the hours in our day are used more effectively. So that when our partners come home or when our kids come home from school, you know, they can see their dad working on something, working on achieving something. And isn't that such a great message to pass down to your children? That, you know, if they have goals, if they have a vision for their life, then they're the ones that hold the keys to unlocking that vision and making that vision a reality. Isn't that like one of the best lessons that we can give to our children? Instead of them seeing us just accepting anything in life and taking whatever comes our way, because we don't really know what we want in life. So, as I say, I just wanted to jump on here real quick, just get something recorded and just get it out there. This isn't a perfect podcast, you know, the sound may be a little bit off, but like I've said, who cares? The message is out there. It needs to be about speed rather than perfection. Don't wait to be perfect. And let me just finish on that quote again. You don't have to be great to get started, but you have to get started in order to be great. So thank you very much for listening, guys. Enjoy your day. For all inquiries or general contact, or if you'd like to sponsor the Happy Dads Club podcast, please email us at thehappydadsclub@outlook.com. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Happy Dads Club podcast.